Welcome to another edition of the Artist Bloc podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Schuler, and today we have a phenomenal guest, a poet, a rapper, a graphic designer, two-time Block Award winner, which is historic. Welcome to the show, Demi Day.
Thank you.
Yes.
What's up?
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I think you're a dope artist and you're multi-talented, so I think this is going to be a good one for the people. Yes. So talk to us about a young Demi Day. How did you come to be who you are today?
Well, that's a long journey. But young Demi Day didn't go by Demi Day.
Okay.
But I've always been into acting since I was a little girl, you know. So that was my first introduction into the arts. And I did that throughout grade school. And I wrote a lot of poetry, and then I rapped with my friends and my cousins and stuff and my siblings. So the rapping was like a fun thing to do just because we all did it. It wasn't something I was like, I'm going to be a rapper one day. But it was something I had fun doing. But I did want to be an actor.
Okay.
And I did want to continue to write written poems.
Okay.
And then I got to college and everything sort of changed and flipped. And so when I got to college, I was invited to audition for an open mic.
Okay.
And when I auditioned, I decided I'd just read one of my poems. I read the poem. They were like, okay, we want you to come to the actual night. Actually, I said open mic. It was a talent show. So then after that, I was like, well, I guess because I auditioned with a written poem that I recited, I should actually try to write a performance piece, like a spoken word poem. So I tried my hand at it. I wrote a piece, and then I went to the talent show and I performed it, and people went crazy. I got a standing ovation. And then when they announced the winner, it was me.
Oh, nice.
And I'm 2-3 months into college. So, so they announced the winner. I won the talent show. And after that, once the event was over, people were coming up to me because this is a new community. These people don't know me. And so this is kind of their first introduction to me. So a lot of people thought this was something I did. Like they didn't know this was my first time doing this. And so people coming up to me, and I got invited to be in a play. I got invited to perform at another venue. And ever since then, it was just like, whew, I'm in this. I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
And so, by the time I left college, I was doing 3 or 4 gigs a week.
Wow.
On the poetry piece. And and then that rolled into hip hop. And then
that's what I was going to ask. How did that transition? Because, a rapper is a poet, you know what I'm saying, just the beats. But how did that transition to that?
Yeah. So I got invited to record a spoken word album. And when I walked into the studio, so the person who invited me, they were like, we're going to produce it. You just have to write the pieces and show up, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can do that. It's great. I'm going to do an album. What?
Yeah.
I walk into a professional recording studio for the first time, and something in me was like, I'm not supposed to be here recording poems. I am supposed to be here recording music. Yeah. And I knew it because I, been playing around with music for so long and rapping for so long as a fun thing. But when I walked into that recording studio, I knew, oh, wait a minute. I need to share my raps because that's what I feel like I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I had so much confidence from performance spoken word that I was like, if I just hone in on it, I feel like I could share this and people will respond well to it. So that kind of gave me the boost I needed to actually start sharing publicly my rapping and my hip hop music. And so then from there, I left college and I started recording, and I moved here to North Carolina.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. So when you did that, you left, when you came here, did you have in your mind, I'm going to do this professionally for the rest of my life, this is it? Or you was like, I'm trying it out, we're going to see what happens. What was that?
It It was a mixture because I wasn't coming here to do hip hop. I was coming here for grad school.
Okay.
It's like that was all in the works as I was deciding I'm gonna be a rapper.
Yeah.
Like I had already enrolled in grad school out here. And so I actually had a management deal in Maryland. That I got a couple of months before I moved out here. And we were trying to figure out how we gonna make this work. Like you just started doing music. I got the management deal. Okay, let's do something with this. But then I was like, well, I'm moving. I'm gonna be in North Carolina. And we didn't know how to really make it shake. And so from there, I was just kind of left, like the deal kind of broke through. We didn't follow through on it. And so I was just kind of like, well, I'm going to still release my music, but I don't know what's going to happen with it. I'm going to focus on school. And so I did a lot of back and forth with myself of like, is this something I can do on my own or what? And then I got a record deal.
Okay.
I got a record deal like 6 months after I moved here with a label out in Gastonia. And so I had this indie record deal while I was in grad school. I was supposed to record an album. I recorded a lot of songs, but we never published the album. And it was just, again, Gastonia, and I'm in Winston-Salem in school. It was just a hard thing to balance. And I didn't really have anyone there in the music industry besides the label who like I could lean on for like advice. So I'm just navigating this like, okay, I'm in grad school, but I got a record deal. And it didn't work out. And so then I was back to the drawing board again with the art piece. And after I graduated, that's when I was like, okay, I feel like I have the time, I have the resources, I have the drive, I can do this. And so I worked on it a little bit. And then in 2019, that's when the little rapper that could really hit the scene. Yeah. And that was like my mantra to myself at the time that like, I can do this.
Which I thought was so clever, by the way.
Yeah. So that's when I really went full force on everything. I had performed out here a few times before that, but like that year, the little rapper that could, like, that's a legendary year because that was like the year I was like, full stop, we're going to do this.
Yeah. I want to back up a bit because you got a management deal and you got a record label deal.
Yeah.
How did you get the management deal and what did it consist of?
So I got the management deal. I had moved home from college. I told my mom, I'm coming. I'm going to book some studio time and I'm going to record some hip hop songs. And my mom's like, okay. And I'm like, you should come with me. And she's like, okay, whatever. Like, she's just like, whatever, Demi, like, sure. So she comes, we go to the studio. I recorded 4 songs and I remember recording the first one. And my mom, as soon as I came out the booth, she was like, this is it. We're going to be rich. Oh my goodness. Right. And so, she started calling everybody she knew that was connected somehow to music. And so she called up one of her friends who had been a recording artist and, you know, was just about that life in that world. And so we immediately went from the studio to his spot and played him the songs that I had just recorded. And then he looked at me, he said, well, what are you trying to do with this? I was like, I'm trying to share it with as many people as possible. And he was like, okay, well, And then he like walked off and then he walked back and he was like, I would love to manage you.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And so, so from there, we just talked. And the next thing you know, we drafting up contracts and
Yeah. So why did it fall through? Did he not want to keep, it was a guy, he didn't want to keep working with you down here or it was just too hard to go back and forth?
Yeah, it was just too hard to go back and forth. Also at the time, like, again, because I hadn't been in the music industry and like my folks, my family, like none of us really knew anything. And so like, I think the contract of the deal scared us to begin with because we were already, I had made any money off music and we talking money from the music and him getting a percentage and this and that. And like, everybody was like, what's going on? And then I was like, I'm going to North Carolina. And then everyone's like, what? This will never work. Like, and so we just decided to part ways. Yeah.
And he didn't like penalize you or nothing, right? It was just like, Amicable. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he never like retaliated in any
Okay.
way.
Okay, that's good.
I mean,
I've heard stories of people who sign contracts, but then they try to get out of the contracts and it becomes problematic. You know what I mean? So that's good. That was a blessing.
Yeah. No, he's good people, and because him and my mom had a good standing friendship. Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did the record deal come about?
The record deal. So BET, well, it wasn't picked up by BET at the time, but there was a rap show called One Shot, and
it wasn't picked up by BET.
It did get picked up, but when I auditioned for it, it hadn't gotten picked up yet. I think it got picked up in post-production. But I auditioned virtually, and then I auditioned in person. And the person who owns the record company saw my virtual audition, or his daughter saw my virtual audition and showed it to him. And he was so impressed. And so he contacted me.
Wow.
And was like, we saw, my daughter auditioned for it, but I saw that you auditioned for it, and I thought it was dope. And I have this record label, and I'd love to talk to you, and da-da-da-da. And just from there, we built a relationship. And then he was like, yeah, I want you to, sign a deal. And so we did.
Nice. Did you get like anything up front, or it was just like all based on future things?
Yeah, it was all based on future things. Yeah. I didn't really... Yeah. I mean, I got free studio sessions out the deal, so that was cool.
Why didn't your album ever come to be? Because you said you recorded a lot of music, but nothing ever came about.
It was just it was taking me a long time to record it, and so the contract was up before I got it out, and I chose not to re-sign just because I was like, I don't know if I actually have the capacity and the bandwidth right now while I'm in school to really produce the way was being asked, you know what I mean? And so for me personally, I feel like I failed and dropped the ball on the contract. So I didn't want to re-sign and, drop the ball again. So it was my own fears at the time. I was like, this is not, I just need to focus on school and get out of here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's move forward to the little rapper that could, because you had the deal, you graduated, you're doing your thing, you decide, all right, I'm taking this thing seriously, because I'm betting on myself, right? So talk to us about that process.
Yeah. Excuse me. So the little rapper that could came out of, I have been like kind of just dropping music here and there independently. And then one day on my like Instagram story, I put, I'm the little rapper that could. And it was just kind of like a joke. Like I had like something about the little engine that could came up, and then I was like, I'm gonna post about this. So I did, and people responded to it so well that I was like, oh, people believe in me. This is great. They were like, that's great. I was like, okay, this is resonating. And I thought, wow, I am the little rapper that could, like, I could do this. And, I was getting real big into like manifesting and law of attraction. And so I just thought, wow, what if I just use that mantra to sort of hype myself up, as I pursue my passion, as I pursue this music, I'll use that. And it'll just be really cool branding and people like it. So boom. Because I always knew people play on the fact that I'm short. Especially when I was doing poetry, I would step to the mic usually after some tall person went. And then I have to lower the mic. And it always evokes laughter from the audience when like there's this height discrepancy between the person performing and the microphone. And I don't know, people have told me like, I was not expecting that you're just this little person, and I wasn't expecting all of that fire. You just gave us so much, but you're just a little person. So I was like, this would be great. I'm a little rapper that is gonna hit people. So
was that like the theme too when you were thinking of the music? Like, let me make music that's motivating, that's like for the underdog to a certain degree. Like, were you thinking about that?
Oh yeah. Like, I think I can, like, and getting people to see that mindset and try it out for themselves, because, I really do believe that there's power in that, if you set your mind to something, your chances of actually achieving it are that much greater, versus someone telling you to do it or you being scared and feeling like you can't do it. So
Yeah. How did you build the team around you to help you? Because it takes a team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, a lot of it was just asking people to be on the team.
Okay.
I sat in a fundraising class, like a development course. And one of the things they said during the lecture, they brought in these people who do development at Wake Forest. And one of the things they said was, what's the number one reason people give money, right? And so people are throwing out answers. And then they were like, the number one reason people give is because someone asked.
That was such a simple.
And I'm like, man, that's right. Like, if you don't ask, you might not receive, So like that makes sense. If someone's asking, the chances they'll get what they're asking for are that much greater. If you never ask, who knows?
Yeah.
So so I just always took that with me, and I was like, I can apply that to building a team, because I used to like get so angsty like watching other people move with like teams and crews, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that. Like that would really help, increase my capacity as an artist. And so I just got to the point where it's like, I'm just gonna ask. I'm gonna ask people if they want to be a part of the management. I'm gonna ask people if they want to help with this, if they want to help with that. And so that's how I went about it for a while, and then developing the day crew and just using that language really also helped, because it makes people feel like they're a part of the community. So I was like, I'm gonna use that. I didn't want to like, I don't know. Some people, they name, their name for their supporters is like something like Mariah Carey. She calls her supporters lambs, and like, it's like, I don't know why, but that's what she does, Right. And I'm a lamb myself, but I'm just saying, but I was like, I want it to be community oriented. And I think it's a driver if I just call it what I anticipate it being, which is a crew. Right. So that's what I decided to name it. And that's helped too.
Yeah. And what are the positions on the team? And how did you know which positions you needed? Because you could have just had like, okay, I'm gonna get a manager, and then you and the manager do everything. But you know what I'm saying? Like, how did you know and what positions are on the team?
Yeah. So there's a creative director there's a couple of creative directors on the team, and then there's a manager. Our videographer spot is vacant. So we've been doing the videos now, but we did have a videographer for a while and a DJ, and that was probably the bulk of the team in 2019. It's kind of dwindled because it's a pandemic, but in terms of like the core, know. But as it stands now, there's a couple creative directors and a manager and myself on the team. So yeah.
Speaking of that, on that down the pace, because we're coming out of it. When we come out of it, are you going to diversify the team, or are you looking to just replace what you had before, or add something new? Do you realize you're missing something?
Yeah. I definitely want to grow the team when we come out of the pandemic, for sure. I think I want people to join the crew who have certain specialized skills. And so like for me, like video editing is one of the big ones, because I'm like, we could do the cameras and stuff, but like I really need a video editor on the team. And then my one of my big aspirations is to eventually have a band. So that's definitely something I want to do. And then right now I've been working with this producer who I think I want to bring on to the team full stop. So we'll see. Him and I just did a 7-track project that I'm just sitting on right now. I like sitting on projects, but it's fire. And so so I think I'm gonna continue to work with him and just bring him on the fold as a part of the team, because that's something I also was wanting to do, just have an in-house producer on the team. So yeah.
What you're talking about reminds me of Toby, and I don't want to mess up his last name, but you know about the rapper, because he has like a whole movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And visually, because I remember the first time I saw him, I heard of him when he came to Raleigh to the Ricks. Like, I feel like that was 2019. Then I saw him at NPR Tiny Desk. And then like over the pandemic, it was just like, I don't know, he just blossomed. You know what I'm saying? Are you trying to do something like that? Like have that type of movement visually?
Oh yeah, actually, it's
Yeah.
funny because there are people who are in the crew who would say like, "That's what we're doing," except it's Black queer femmes and it's dope, and like. But yeah, that's definitely something that not only I can envision, but like other people who are a part of the crew envision too. They're like, "This is cool. Like, what if we did it this way, and what if we all show up again right here on video, and then we go here and." Just create this whole movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you approach your brand? You know what I'm saying? And getting your brand out there to the people. Because you do have a brand.
I do have a brand.
Well known in the area,
Yeah. My brand journey has been so interesting. I think it's a cyclical thing. So I'm always revisiting certain like questions about my brand and just trying to continue to grow and reinvent myself. And so I feel like starting out, I kind of boxed myself in a bit with my brand. And I realized that when I had a conversation with someone on my team, because I had collaborated with somebody who cursed in their music, and this person was like, "You gotta watch who you collaborate with, because we played that track for the kids and we didn't know that it had explicit content." And I was like, "What's wrong with explicit content?" I'm like, "I curse, like what's the problem?" And I was like, maybe I need to be more intentional about expressing myself, because I felt like it was going a certain direction that wasn't open enough or wide enough for all that I feel like I have to express as an artist. And so then I was like, I'm going to be intentional about breaking it wide open. And so that's why you get like Heart Turned Gray, which I released last year. But yeah, I'm always thinking about it in terms of like, how can my brand like best represent who I am, but also like be wide enough, because that was one of my learnings. Is like I if I narrow it in too much, then it becomes too confining for an artist to thrive, right? And so I would want it to be wide enough, but succinct enough that people who connect with it can see that they connect with it and connect with me. That
made me think about like Will Smith. He wouldn't curse in the beginning. Well, I don't think he ever cursed, honestly, rapping. I think he just cursed when he was acting. But he said that he cursed when he first started rapping, but his grandma heard it and she told him to write without cursing. So that's why he started rapping without cursing. Yeah. But I feel like it did limit him with rapping, but he transitioned to acting. You know what I'm saying? But I get that. I think that we're multifaceted as people. You know what I'm saying? Like, facts. You can curse and still be a role model. Like, facts. That's a real thing.
Real thing. I'm like, Meg Thee Stallion getting magazine covers. So, right. No, I definitely resonate with that.
Yeah. Another thing you said was basically, you know who you are. How did you figure out who you were? People struggle with that, figuring out who they are, and finding their voice. So how did you do that?
I mean, I'm still doing it. But yeah, it's not fun work. Yeah. I think sometimes we romanticize what that looks like finding out who we are. Yeah. And it's like, who I am is so multifaceted, and it's always changing with the seasons and with, all the outside circumstances that I can't control. But just being able to like really just look myself in the face or look at my reflection and be like, wow, like this is who I am, or this is how I showed up in that moment, and this is what motivates me, and this is what's driving me, and this is the trauma that I'm living with, and these are my triggers, and and that type of exploration is heavy. But for me, I had some help because when I went to grad school, I got a theological education. So I went to a divinity school. Okay. And, when you're studying how to help others make meaning of their life, you ultimately learn how to make meaning of your own life and how you are already doing that. Right. And so that's definitely accelerated my self-learning. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so deep, man. Like, it is so Listen. Deep. It is so true. Like, even the fact that you were like understanding my trauma. Like, that's deep. And that is a part of you. And you have to
Yes.
understand it, because you have to, for one, face it.
Yes.
And once you face it, you'll be able to help others face it. But I feel like a lot of people don't want to face it.
Yeah.
Because it hurts. Like, it hurts, and it's hard to go into yourself. You know what I mean?
Like, run away.
Right. Right. But I feel like you can't even really be an authentic artist if you don't know who you are, or if you're not willing to go on the journey, because it is an ever changing journey, becoming like Michelle Obama. You know what I mean?
On.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's important and it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that's what people resonate with. They resonate with the truth in the music or the art. You know what I mean? And if you know the truth about yourself, how can anybody else? You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the independent artist route? Is that where you want to stay? Yeah. Why?
Yes.
Why?
Look, I almost forgot we on the podcast. I'm like, I actually used my words. But yes, I enjoy it because it's just, there's so much freedom in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about it. You know, like I said, I've been on contracts before, and it's just not as cool when you're obligated to other people to do your art or to show up a certain way as an artist. So yeah, I like the independency, because I get to kind of dictate, you know, if I'm like, okay, cool, we're marketing this right now, and I'm like, I don't want to market it anymore.
Yeah.
I can make that call and it's cool, you know? Like if I'm recording a project and I'm going in a certain direction, and I'm like, I want to go in another direction, I can do that, you know? And that's just really liberating for me. Yeah. And so I'm at a point now where I'm like, I actually don't want to lose that, because I think it's beautiful. And so, yeah.
Do you think it's harder as an independent artist versus having a contract with someone?
For me, I say it depends on what the goal is, because, you know, if there's a particular like marketing, production goal, you know, what have you, audience goal, then like being signed might be a faster route, a more efficient route, you know, to get there, right? Because it's going to give you access and resources that you might not have independently, right? But there's always a trade-off. And so, you know, if you're cool with the trade-offs, go for it. You know what I mean? I feel like as an independent artist, you know, for me personally, like some of those trade-offs ain't trade-offs I want to make.
Right.
So for me, being an independent artist is better in the sense that, yeah, maybe I don't have all these resources over here and whatnot, but as I said earlier, I have the creative freedom, you know, and I have a particular direction for steering my ship the way I want it to go. And I don't have to hop on somebody else's boat to get to my destination. And, you know, maybe I don't like the linens in the cabins on that boat. So, you know, but like if I go with that boat, yeah, we're going to get there, but I got to sleep in, you know, but that's some trade-offs that some artists want to make and are willing to make. And, you know, that's for each individual artist, I think, to determine, you know, what their goals are and how they want to get there, and what trade-offs they are willing to make. And, you know, that, again, that goes back to the self-awareness piece, you know. I know through my experiences what I do and don't, you know, want to make trade-offs on. And, you know, some people learn from trade-offs they've made and whatever, you know. Yeah.
No, that's real. Yeah. That's real. I was going to come back to the marketing piece, because The Little Rapper That Could was very clever. And like you say, you was just doing it, you came up with it, but that was a very clever marketing scheme.
Thank you.
How do you approach marketing? Because I struggle with marketing. Like, that's one of my weaknesses. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always learning something new about marketing. But yeah, I approach it differently depending on what I'm marketing. So that's one. And depending on who I'm marketing to. And so for me in 2019, when I was running Little Rapper That Could, the market audience was like, I want people locally to know who I am. And I knew that I was going to do that by doing a bunch of gigs, performing as much as I could. And it was like, okay, what is a takeaway that's easy for people to get in the short amount of time that they're going to have me on stage? That if they happen to hear me at another venue, what's the connective tissue? And that's how I was thinking of it. I was like, what can I do with this brand that I will be able to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat? And so if you see me over here do it and then you see me over here do it, now it's connecting. And now it's something you could tell like, oh yeah, she gonna do her little rapper that could. Like she's gonna do that because she always does that when she takes the mic, you know, it's this really short, memorable thing. And so I just thought it would work well in that setting. It doesn't always translate digitally in the same way. Like people trying to hashtag, you know, people will be like, the little rapper that could, the little rapper that could. Like it didn't translate well digitally. Right. But in terms of performance, it was a great marketing piece because I feel like, you know, that year, the type of network I was able to build, you know, in North Carolina was huge. Like, I mean, toward the end of the year, like the types of gigs and things that I were getting were stuff that I hadn't even imagined for myself. But it was just like that repetition, people started to connect and know who I was. And I wasn't just fading in the background. You know, when you do an open mic, you know, at like Carolina Waves or something, and there's like 50 people on the docket, how are you going to stand out? Right. How are people going to remember you when they just listen to 50 rappers? Right. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that type of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you like study marketing? Did you take any class or just like naturally like it comes to you or you know?
It's a hodgepodge of like, I don't think I've taken any formal marketing classes, but I definitely like, I read articles and I listen to like audiobooks and stuff like that. And then it's just trial and error, things that I've experienced and seen. And I listen to people's interviews like this, you know, of other artists and things like that. And I just pick up on, you know, okay, I like that strategy. I don't like that strategy. You know, oh, that's not a good trade-off, but that's really clever, you know? And so I just kind of pick up on it from there and just start teaching myself, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of what you got to do when you're independent.
The best teacher.
Like, I can't afford to hire anybody to do my marketing for me right now.
I thought you said something else that was very important is you have to market differently on different platforms.
Yes.
Because I've been like trying to study social media marketing lately and like what you could do on Instagram is different from Facebook, which is different from Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And even like the hashtag thing. That's so minute, but it's major.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because even with us, people will put hashtag Artist Bloc or hashtag the Artist Bloc with a K. Yeah. You know, but we're Artist Bloc with a C. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, that is very key.
Yeah. And again, it's funny because the little rapper that could worked so well. And I learned a big marketing lesson from that too, because you couldn't go to a streaming platform and look up little rapper that could and find Demi Day. You had to know that my artist name was Demi Day. You know, but my handles on social media were little rapper that could. When I was, you know, doing my shows, I'm little rapper that could. So even though it was memorable, I was actually shooting myself in the foot in terms of it turning into streams.
Gotcha.
So then it was like, oh, I have to find something a little more integrated that when people are actually looking for me on YouTube or looking for my music, they can find me.
Yeah.
And so then I had to kind of transition out a little rapper that could. But for what it was in that season, I thought it was great.
Yeah. That's so interesting because, you know, that just made me think about like Biggie, for instance, because his name was Notorious B.I.G. So I'm pretty sure people would search Biggie Smalls. You know what I'm saying? Like, or even just Biggie.
Biggie,
like,
right.
To connect the two. I never even thought about that. Yeah. And we are in a digital society now compared to like when we were in an analog society. So everything is different and new and like, it's kind of like we're building the platform for what the digital approach is going to be. You know what I'm saying? Compared to if we came out in the 90s, we already had a platform to stand on. We already had a model to follow in the 90s. You know what I mean? So that's so interesting. Yeah. What's the future looking like for you? What's the plan?
Good. I got some major plans that I can't speak on publicly right now.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm sitting on one of those projects. There's some books in the works. More music videos and things like that. But there's this big major thing that's going to happen in a few months.
And you just got to stay tuned.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm really excited about it. The team's really excited about it. And it's going to shake some things up majorly. But I mean, I'm still going to, I'm still going to do music and, I'm transitioning more to graphic design to kind of like be the underbelly of my stuff financially, besides just the stuff I'm bringing in with music. And so the pandemic has actually helped give me time to like get my graphic design portfolio together and, you know, stuff like that, which when you all day doing music and gigs and stuff and just running, it's hard to like take some time out to like really hone in on that stuff. But now I've got all of that set up. I got my music set up and we're just going to push.
Yeah. And I think it's important as an artist to be, multifaceted in your approach to making money. I think sometimes when people think of, first of all, you have to get past the whole notion that artists don't make money. Artists can make money. It's just not as straightforward as you think it is. You know what I mean? And it's more diverse. So I think it's important to be able to make money in different ways.
Yes.
So I feel you on the graphic design. That's what I'm trying to say that. Yeah. Because that's real. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. So, you know, we get to the most important component of the show. We're about to bring people into Professor Demi Day's course of how to be an artpreneur 101, right? So give the people the 5 practical steps they need to get into this game.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Okay. 5 practical steps from Demi Day for artpreneurs.
Okay.
Number 1 is, look, I done forgot the 5 steps. Number 1 is to identify your passion or passions. To identify that strongly, to understand what that is. You know, and that might look like exploring a bunch of different things. It might look like just reflecting on your life and what you gravitated toward. You know, that process will look different for whoever, but you need to be able to identify it. Yeah. That way you can articulate it to other people. And then number 2, interrogate motives. And I think that's important because I think sometimes people are motivated by things they don't even realize they're motivated by. And so what is it that's driving you? What's your driving force? Is it something spiritual? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it, you know, is it an insecurity, right? Because some people are driven by some deep-rooted insecurity and they don't even realize it. Right. You know, and so interrogate your motives. Why are you doing this? Are you doing this because of the type of feeling you feel when you step on the stage? Are you doing this because you feel like it's the only thing you can do? Are you doing this just because you just love collaborating? Like, why are you doing this? So interrogate the motive. I just want to pause on that. That's really deep. Interrogate the I've never heard anybody even say it like that. But that's real. I just wanted to tell you that. That was a word right there. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I've definitely done a lot of it myself. Like, why am I doing this? What is driving me? You know, what do I want from this at the end of the day? Yeah. So I think that's important. Third, I would say to increase your capacity. And that could look like picking up a book. It could look like going to events. It could look like networking. You know, it could look like, okay, maybe I need a bigger space to do my art. Maybe I need to set some boundaries so I have more time to do those things. But, you know, increase your capacity to actually work on the art you want to work on. Because you can't make money off of art if you're not doing art. So like, how can you do art and how can you continue to do art even better than what you're doing? So increase your capacity. And then 4th, I would say incorporate your community. Yes. And you know, that's important. Collaboration is important. Community is important. And at the end of the day, you know, money's got to come from somewhere. And you know, you can get it from the institutions and be on somebody's payroll and cool. You can make deals through networking, or you can get it from some supporters, like people who genuinely support you and want to invest in what you're doing. You know, and that, I think that happens in its most beautiful form when people are like embedded into their community. Because we hold each other up and it's reciprocal. So incorporate your community. I mean, you just sit in a room by yourself and just do your art. That's just therapy. To me, like, it's just, okay, that's therapeutic. If you're not going to share it, if you're not going to collaborate, if you know what I mean? You're not going to go out here and be with other people with it. It's just therapy. You know? So I'm not saying it's not good. It's just like, I don't know how you're going to make money off of something that you're just doing in a vacuum. I've never heard anybody say like that. I love that. I'm still in that. Just to let you know. Okay. Go ahead. Number 5. Oh, man. And number 5 is to implement plans And,
Yes.
and I think, having strategy, having methods and putting them into action. I know I myself and a lot of people I know were big ideation people. We can imagine all these cool things and have all these great ideas. And it's like, great. If we don't implement a plan to actually execute it, then, well, I don't know.
Right.
It's just another great idea. Then you'll watch somebody else that actually went forward with the idea. And you'll be like, hi, remember we thought of that? It's like, well, we didn't do anything about it when we thought of it. So here it is.
Right.
Somebody else is doing it. Great. So it's to implement plans. And I think all 5 of those are cyclical. Like you have to keep doing all 5 of those things.
I agree.
It's not just this linear, okay, now I'm done, I've arrived. Like, no, you gotta continue, go back and keep doing them. Yeah.
Right. And the higher you go, you're going to have to like revise that. You know
exactly.
what I mean? Because what worked down here is not going to work up here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That was a great course. Like,
yes.
I love that. The syllabus for your course. You know what I mean? Okay. So did you give them the syllabus?
Yes.
What's the prerequisite tonight before they come to your class in the morning?
Yes.
What do they have to do?
The prerequisite is to get inspired.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How that's the prerequisite. I get that from people. I don't know how to get inspired.
And that's the thing. So one of the things I've realized in pursuing, my art, but also trying to make money and sustain myself from it financially is like, I can have all the motivation in the world. I can have all the tools. I can have all the resources. I can have all the plans, right? Everything laid out. And if I'm not able to make great art at the end of the day, that's the base. That's the foundation. And how do I make great art? Motivation is not going to get me there. Inspiration is going to get me there. So I need to figure out how to continually get inspired so that I can continually produce art. And so that's the prerequisite, because if you can't figure out a way to get inspired, then who knows? You're like, yeah, I made this great art piece today, and then it was 3 years before I made something else.
Yeah.
And you got to know that about yourself, because you can't, how you going to move forward if you don't know about yourself that I need this much time to get inspired, or I need fresh air to get inspired. I need to go on a hike, or I need to consume other art forms or whatever. But you've got to figure that out, because you've got to keep yourself inspired as an artist. And you lose that, I know what you have. You're like a zombie artist. I don't know if I want that. So get inspired. That's the prerequisite to figure out what it is. And I think it's different for everybody. And so it's definitely a self thing. You got to figure out what inspires you. I wish I've cracked the code on like some universal way to inspire everybody. And if I do, I'm publishing a book on it. I'm going to go on a world tour and tell everybody about it. But I haven't figured it out yet. But I know certain things work for certain people. And, I feel like as an artist, you got to find that.
Yeah, you do. You do. Okay. So that made me think about, people can inspire themselves, but sometimes life happens.
Yes.
And you lose the inspiration. And I always tell people, life happens to everybody. You know what I'm saying? We all get things happen to all of us. It's not about you staying down. The thing is, happy moment, stay down, but then get back up. Like, you can't stay down forever. You know what I mean? And I feel like you can speak on that, because you're so prolific with your words.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So can you talk about that? Like the importance of having your moment, but then getting back up. And if the inspiration that you had before is for some reason not working, finding a new inspiration. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a part of getting back up is, I think that's a memory exercise.
That is so deep. Why do you say that? You just are. I can't wait to read the book.
Oh my goodness. I think we have to remind ourselves that we've been down before and we've gotten back up. And that's hard to do when somebody's just push you down. You know what I mean? Or something, or whatever it is. Because when you're in grief or pain or hurt or whatever it is, you're just so consumed by that that it's hard to remember, oh yeah, before any of this I was fine, or when such and so back there happened, I got up from that, and I too can eventually get up from this. Like, I think, like you said, I think the process of being able to take the time to be low and grieve and work through some of that to heal, you know, is important. But yeah, like, I think it's a memory exercise and remembering I got up before, I could get up again. And remembering that people before you got up before. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, there's always that you can turn to. You just got to remember that you can do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget, we get so low that it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes getting back to that, to remembering. And I have a colleague who would say remembering, like, you know, the re and then remembering yourself back up sort of thing. But like, I think like how people arrive at remembering that they can get back up is different. For, you know, it can be harder for some people. And that's a very real thing, you know? And so we can't just shout at people like, get back up, but they've got to remember that for themselves. And like, how can we help them remember that they can do that without, like, you know, I don't know. Like, no, you know, some people, it might take them months, you know, they might, you know, need certain support to remember those things. And some people, they will get right back up. Just, you know, some people, they've been thinking like, all right, I'm going to get myself up. Some people need several people around them to help them lift their arms and their legs and their feet back up, you know? And so I think a part of the care is helping them remember that they can do it, and then helping them to do it.
I'm so inspired by that.
Yeah.
I really am. I was thinking in my head, like, damn, who do I need to help get up? Oh, man. And this brings to this is like off subject on subject. Okay. So you got your master's in divinity, right? What did you want to do? Do you want to be a teacher or a preacher? Like, what is it? You're very like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, and I know it's like through your music you're doing that, but just like outside of your music, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've come to the evolving conclusion that a part of me getting the divinity degree, and I'm also an ordained minister.
Wow.
That had to be a part of some spiritual debt, karmic debt that I had to pay. I was so entrenched in that world for a long time, and I didn't know, I had no real North Star in terms of what I was going to do with it.
Yeah,
and that was a dangerous situation to be in, because I mean, I do have a lot of gifts and stuff, and so to be in a situation where you have a lot of gifts and you have no direction and you have no North Star, you know, people pull you this way and that way, and they're like, come preach over here, come minister over here, come do this, come do that. And so I didn't know, I was just doing the things because it's like, this is the next step for whatever reason. That's what it is. And I don't have any particular goals with it.
No.
And so I'm at a crossroads now where it's kind of like, okay, that's a chapter in my life that I've learned a lot from. But there's nothing specific career-wise that I feel like I need to do with it. Like spiritually, I feel like it was a great process and journey and experience for me. You know, but I feel like I've kind of paid my dues in that respect, and you know, and now I'm on to something new. But yeah, because I just always came back to my art. And it was like preaching was fun and all of this, but I always came back to my art. And so it was like something in my heart was not resonating fully with that experience. And so, yeah, like, I mean, I ended up getting a job at a divinity school, at the same divinity school I graduated from at Wake, and, you know, worked there for years. And just started realizing with my coworkers who were so invested in these theological programs that I had no stake in the game. I'm like, I could walk away from this meeting and not care. And these people really, really, really care about this, and I don't. And I'm like, well, where do I show up in my life where I really, really care? You know, and I realized for me, that's art.
Yeah.
That's the visual arts, the performing arts, the recording arts. Like, that's that. Like, and so it was like, okay, how do I continue to shape my life so that it's more of that?
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of adrift on this particular institutionalized journey with religion.
Yeah.
That wasn't quite the right fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm just so in awe. I am, and inspired, and like, this has been great.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
This has been great.
This
I've
has been
enjoyed this a
great.
lot.
I mean, I'm going to go and watch this again. I just, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yes,
I
thank
really
you.
do.
Thank
I feel
you for
like
having me.
people are going to really enjoy this and take a lot from it, not just about being an artpreneur, but just life in general. And, it's a holistic journey. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's quite a journey.
Yes.
That is. That is. This artpreneur, man, it's a journey.
Yeah. It's real. It's real. And like how you were talking earlier about people romanticizing things. I think people romanticize being an artist and they romanticize entrepreneurship. But it's nothing romanticizing about, like, it's really hard.
Yes.
It's really hard.
Yes.
You do wake up sometimes and you're not inspired, and you have to figure out how to quickly inspire yourself because you have to go do something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like you don't even have time to be down. Like, you have to be on go mode. You know what I mean? So
all the time. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And it's funny. I was thinking about this word artpreneur and like entrepreneurship and artists, and like entrepreneurship, like by definition at least, is like these people who take these big financial risks so they can gain these big rewards, right? And I'm like, artists always doing that. Like, like we talk about risk takers, like they one and the same, Yeah. And that is the part that like you said, like it's not easy. It's a scary thing. It's a huge risk.
Right.
But you reap so much reward from expressing yourself and getting your art out there. And
you do.
Yeah, and especially when people pay you for it.
That's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, tell the people, this is your camera right here. Let the people know how they can get in contact with you, and if they want to hit you up for whatever reason.
Okay, yeah. Demi Day Official, all one word, on social media, and then DemiDayOfficial.com.
Yeah.
Then you can check out my website, sign up for the email list, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So thank you again for
coming
on the show. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out.
All right.
So thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Artist Bloc podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Schuler. You can find me on social media at Patricia Schuler, and we'll catch you next time.